Hello guys, welcome back to Bodging Building, where this time instead of waffling on about things I have done, I'm actually going to attempt to make something with you. And what we're going to attempt to make is these. So this one is a mage hand spell marker, and then we also have a Maximilian's Earthen Grasp spell holder, spell place marker, sorry. So this is what we're going to attempt to build, and I'm going to show you what I did and what I think went well and what didn't go so well. So first things first, what we did was we glued a washer into the bottom of a base to make sure it had a bit of weight to it, and then trimmed off the extra piece of arm that was going to make it too tall. Just sanded that down to give it a nice flat base for when I super glue it onto the base there, just using a nail file. Now the idea I had for this was to use a piece of scrap XPS foam to try and make that look like the ground that the hand was bursting forth from. I would later actually change my mind on this. I made it the same size as the base and tried to make it burst through, but it actually ripped. But I decided that what I would do, you'll see in a little bit, was to make that into separate pieces just to give it a bit of ease to glue it in place and make it look like some broken ground that this hand was bursting out of. So I just trimmed a little bit more off because it still seemed a bit tall. I wanted to make it kind of the same sort of height as a normal mini. And then we move on to the mage hand one. Now we can do the same thing with this, just trim the bottom off there. And then that one's going to get super glued straight on the base, no ground or anything for that, because well, generally the mage hand floats above the ground. So with them both glued to the bases, it's time to add on the small piece of XPS foam just to make it look like it is bursting out of the ground, as we said. A little bit of glue on the bottom, a little bit of glue on the hand itself to give it that sort of slanted look, so where it's burst up out of the ground, there is still bits of the ground actually leaning on the hand itself. Then a little bit of PVA glue going on, and using an interesting material I don't think I've ever seen anybody use, but using table sand just to give it sort of a gritty texture on there that will hopefully pick up some of the highlights when we dry brush it later on. Then onto the mage hand, and I figured that to give it a sort of mystical quality, I would cover it in hot glue so that when it dried, it had a very smooth but a very distorted kind of feeling to it. So back to the earthen grasp hand, and then I decided what we were going to do was I had some small little stony bits. It's meant to be coal for making model trains, sort of filling up the coal train or the coal chamber. So I glued a few of those on there just to give it that rocky feeling. So we got the salt for a bit of soil and gravelly texture, and then some bigger stones just being glued there on the hand, just to give it again a little bit of something for highlights to grab and make it look like it's mud and stone and earth. I really should at this point give credit and mention to my daughter Harley, who gave me the idea for this. We were cleaning out her toys. She had a couple of old Mr. Potato Heads, and she gave me the hands and said, "Here Dad, why don't you make something out of these?" So that's where the whole idea of these two spell markers came from. Okay, so then this is where everything started to go wrong. I decided I was going to black attack both of them with the Mod Podge and black paint combination that Black Magic Craft uses a lot of, and I use a lot, especially when I'm making buildings and things. I wouldn't usually use this on a model, but as this plastic that the Mr. Potato Head hands are made of is very shiny, I know I've added some stuff to it, but I thought giving it a good Mod Podge black base would be a good start. Now it was fine for the earthen grasp. It gave me a very good base for that, but I think if I was to do the mage hand again, I would skip this step because when I had painted it up, and you'll see them both in a second, then I realized that the painting I wanted to do on the mage hand wasn't going to work very well over the black. So then I decided I was going to paint it white. I added a little bit of water just to thin the paint ever so slightly because I thought that would be a better idea. This didn't work at all. So I painted it white. It still showed most of the black through, maybe if I hadn't added the water. But then I decided in my infinite wisdom I was going to take it outside and I was going to spray paint it white. And that didn't work for the best either. So I think if I was, like I say, to go back to the mage hand idea, I would definitely skip the black attack stage and leave the white showing through with the hot glue over the top, because I think when I show you the paint that I put on top, I think that would have worked better showing that white through. So then I added a couple of different brown shades to the earthen grass, but a lighter tone for the ground it was meant to be bursting through, and I figured that the underground earth would be darker, so a darker brown for the actual hand itself. Then I added a dry brush of the lighter brown onto the stones that were attached to the hand, just to give it a bit of difference. Then I went over the top of them with a stone color just to make them highlight a little bit more and just make them stand out a little bit different. Just give them a nice pop. For the mage hand, I gave it a couple of good layers of Hexwraith Flame, hoping that that would give it the nice spectral, ghostly kind of appearance that I thought would look quite magical. Now, I think because I put the black on and then spray painted it white, this really didn't work out very well. I think, like I said earlier, if I'd have left the black attack stage out and had the white hand with the hot glue over the top and then put this on, this would have looked a whole lot better. So I think I may try that again in future, or I might just go with a totally different color. But as it stands, I couldn't think of any way to save this any further, except I found that when I had done a Reaper order, they sent me a very small dropper bottle of a tester paint. Now, I don't have a name of it, which is why I haven't bothered showing it on camera, because I can't really give you any information about it. But it's a very, very, very pale yellow. So what I did was I gave it a dry brush with that. I gave the earthen grasp a dry brush over the stones with a white, and then again with the same light stone color, and that's kind of how it finished up. So there you have it, two small quick builds. One I'm really quite happy with, the Maximilian's Earthen Grasp I really quite like, and one bit of a fail, but hey, you live and learn. And like I said last time, as long as you're having fun when you make it, that's what's important. You're not going to make a Mona Lisa every time that you try and make something. But I got a 50-50 split here. I'm happy with one. The other, we call it a learning curve. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed. I hope maybe you've got an idea for something, and maybe you've learned not to do what I did. And if you have, that's all good. But that's it for now, and I'll catch you next time for some more bodging and building. So please like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. This is a young channel, so feedback is appreciated. And I know the camera's a bit cack. I've been doing this on my phone, but my new camera has now arrived, so hopefully any future videos will be much clearer and easier to watch. Take care, God bless guys, bye bye.